Welcome to Skin, Spirit, and Sacred, a place to claim your beauty, pleasure, and experience joy in the body. I'm so happy you're here to go on a sacred journey from skin to spirit with me. Mahalo. Hello, Marina here. May the 4th be with you. This is the 3rd episode of our 1st season. I'm so honored that you're part of this journey with me. This episode is scheduled to release on May 4th, hence the reference of Star Wars. We are finding ourselves in a delicious time of a Taurus season, which is all about nature, earth, spring blossoming, things that are beckoning us to slow down, to indulge in pleasures, to ease. I have found myself in a week between these episodes recording when I was looking in social media, just getting a feel for what's out there, what's the vibe of the social media. And what I've realized that this fast-paced of this flickering that's on social media, which is popular right now, the voices that are being sped up, this repetitive movement dance that is also not at the 1 but 1.5 speed mode. I have caught myself as I have been diving deep into that hole. I was becoming more anxious, more disconnected from my body. My breath was getting shallower. My thoughts were a lot more scattered. And what I realized that is not what I am craving to have in my life. That fast-paced feeding of information that leaves me even more hungry, that leaves me even more robbed of connection. Like, the reason that information needs to be so sped up is to feel that increasing gap of my nervous system being stretched, of actually not receiving the nourishment that I crave. So what I realized that I actually want a deepening of an authentic experience, a conscious consumption of content, an intentional interaction with information. And for this reason, I actually ended up spending many hours purposefully piecing together parts for this episode with an intention to deliver you an enriching and nourishing long-form content that actually is the opposite of the TikTok whittle waddle, as I call. So, to honor your precious time, let's drop into ease and slowness of this moment by creating a sacred space. I invite you to take a deep breath and exhale. Let us do an easy grounding practice for us to connect our physical body to that of the earth by using a visualizing technique. I invite you to visualize something that you can use as a grounding cord, a way by which you can connect your body to the core of the earth. You've heard me say you can visualize a tree, a waterfall, or a stack of roses, or this is a Taurus season, you can visualize a stack of cookies, cakes, or just flowers. When you see that stack or your tree, bring it under your spine and connect it to the first chakra. And let it drop down to the center of the earth. You're connecting your body with that of the earth's core. Feel the gravitational pull starting to take away stack energy from your body. All of that cacophony of noise, the whittle-waddle of social media, and you starting to claim your space. Take another breath And let's begin. So, creating this episode on sacred, what is sacred, has been an interesting and sacred journey for me. I began, first of all, asking myself, what is sacred? By that, I realized that I often take it for granted. I haven't actually spent time sitting down and fully formulating for myself in actual words and distinctions. What do I mean by sacred? I've gone to ask people around me, friends, people on social media, people standing in line, be like, hey, what is sacred to you? And that actually has given me a taste of creating a sacred experience. I was also curious in this process over this last few weeks, I proceeded to losing my voice and needing to go back and I guess connecting to spirit, tuning in to why am I losing my voice? Because the voice is my personal expression. This fifth chakra, me being emotional manifestor in human design in so many ways, that is my power center of communication, producing into the world. So when that gets blocked, I always take a moment of pause and self-inquire. And I'm so grateful that I did because it allowed me to deepen more into actually embodying and feeling what is sacred. In simple words, sacred is something worthy of awe and respect. But we are going to dive deeper into this, even though I could really just write this and this being it for this auditory experience. But it's curious how sacred has different meanings to different people. One object or something could be sacred to one person and have no meaning to the other. For places, for example, we can say Jerusalem and Bethlehem is a sacred place for many religions. Or I've heard the Fenway Stadium is a sacred place for the Red Sox fans. The Hollywood Walk of Fame is sacred for a celebrity fan. Or an owl, the animal owl, is sacred for many Native Americans and Hawaiian people. So, temple, a stadium, a mountain, a rock, a picture frame, or a teddy bear, or an empty jar or full jar of skincare. Objects, memories, places, they can all, and they all are sacred. What makes them sacred is the energy, the attention, the intention that we humans give and infuse those object, places, memories with is what makes them sacred. So to one person, it's just a picture frame. To the other person, when they look at the picture frame, their heart lights up. They can maybe tear up and really be overcome with emotion. Or a temple could, to some person, just be four walls with a roof. To another person is a sacred place worthy of giving their lives for. And the distinction between those is the energy, the intention that is being infused into that place. And how incredibly amazing is that? I hold all religions, all traditions in high regards. In Hawaiian culture, they have a concept called amakua, and it is based on universal and collective energy, which they call mana. You've heard it in Sanskrit, refers to prana, or in ancient traditional Chinese as chi. So mana, prana, chi, the cosmic energy. The amakua reminds us of the connection of all things through aloha. The spirit in and through all things that orders the cosmos into a proper and respectful relationship. Amakua, this Hawaiian concept, is any energy form that exists in the universe. It includes animals, plants, weather. In its form, it is the sacred. So again, let's dive deeper into what is sacred. And whenever I say this, I keep hearing other words of people exclaiming, is there anything sacred in this world anymore? When they look at the destruction of temple or special sites or something happening. So I see sacred as something that can be split into two main meanings. And again, for the purpose of this podcast, for these first 3 episodes, I'm creating a structure by which to share with you my meanings of the skin, spirit, and sacred. The vision and the lens through which I personally view them as, so that you can understand through your perspectives if that matches your worldview. So sacred can be put into 2 meanings as I see them. First, referring to something that is of religion or spirituality. The second is something that's more broadly encompassing something that is cherished, valued, treasured, precious, something that we hold dear and in high regard and in respect and even reverence to ourselves. And examples of that would be, say, values, honesty, longing for truth, justice, peace, human rights are sacred. Having integrity in personal relationships is sacred in this broader spectrum. Or experiential things like a sparkle in your beloved's eye, the fluttering of your heart when you look or think or remember a memory, or you look at the object that springs and connects you to a memory. That creates a sacred bubble of a moment. A memory, again, is sacred. There's so many sacred memories. Again, taking it even broader, an old growth forests like the Amazon or the redwoods, historical landmarks like my beloved Stonehenge. Or again, concepts like aspirations for knowledge, compassion, harmony, or even an idea. Idea can also be sacred. I believe that each human needs access and experience of whatever it is one holds in awe, in respect, that feels most precious and worthy of protection. And in this case, it does not matter if it is a spiritual person or if they are devout, have devout religious beliefs, if they're agnostic, atheist, whatever their stance is, that need for sacred, I believe to be an innate need of a human experience. If one is to live a life beyond just mere eating and sleeping existence. I mean, imagine a life in which nothing is sacred to you or anyone else around you. To me, that would be a heartbreaking, barren, dull existence. Again, something can be sacred, precious to one person and have no regard to another. There is a perfect example for this. What is currently happening at one of the best known ancient wonders of the world, the over 5,000-year-old Stonehenge monument and sacred site. In June of last year, UK government gave a go-ahead to burrowing underneath the ritual landscape to build a road tunnel, which would cause, I quote, a permanent and irreversible harm and desecration of Britain's most famous World Heritage Site. Stonehenge is a place for so many, including myself, is a revered site of connection to sacred, connection to spirit, a place of such deep awe, wonder, mysticism, and history. It's such a rich connection of so many cultures through Celtic and Roman that goes back to the pagan years and the creation of the site, and also how it lasted through the millennia, and how for other people all it is a place, an ideal place of connecting a roadway. And here I just cannot help myself and to think of A Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. If you've read the book, or there was a fabulous podcast about a BBC radio show in the 70s where there is these group of aliens, Vogons, I think, where they come to Earth, and they post and they say, hey, Earth has been scheduled for demolition because a superhighway needs to be built, and Earth happens to be on the way. So sorry, you need to be removed. And for those Vogons, they really do lack any empathy, compassion, or even ability to have awe, to look and to say, well, there is people, there is lives, it's a whole planet. For them, well, we need to build a road, so we're going to have to demolish you. And it's so funny how actually this connects, that the demolition or destruction, they're not demolishing, let's be clear here, they're not demolishing Stonehenge itself, but they are causing a irreversible damage to the landscape by building it and creating the tunnel right under it. So yeah, to some people, the concept of sacred for the Stonehenge is simply does not have any emotional connotation. And what I have shared earlier, my connection and understanding of sacredness and what makes something sacred is us. It's we humans that give attention, intention, be that over days, years, or millennia, of place of worship, of place of connection, when it's being infused, imbued, enriched with our sense of awe and wonder. And that energy, attention that we keep giving and infusing into that space, whatever it is, memory, place, or an idea, is what creates that sense of sacred. Spending a few more moments in the sacred sites, there are countless examples of loss of sacred sites around the world. I don't have to go far. I can just go around the corner on the islands of Hawaii, where so many heiaus, which are the sacred temple worships, have been destroyed for, again, building the roads, building hotels, whatever, or a little bit broader across United States and Canada for many First Nations, Indigenous cultures and tribes, where their sacred sites, their sacred villages have been destroyed and completely wiped off the face of the land. But in here, why am I mentioning and why does that matter? I see this destruction of the physical sites not just as a heartbreaking loss of the physical memory. Because if we were to go a little deeper here and look at these examples of the ancient cultures that were around Stonehenge, or the First Nation tribes of North America and Polynesian cultures, the humans that have lived in those periods, they lived as an integrated part of the divine and the spirit. And I will plug in here my previous episode where I dove deeper into all things spirit. The people of these tribal cultures lived in an integral ways with the local deities, with the spirits of the elements, of the directions, of the planets, all the elements of nature around them, not in a way of, going for a hike once a week, but in a way where the nature is fully integrated into their daily lives, where in the way they walk among the deities and the gods of the elementals around them. I can dive a little deeper, even more, into the ancient scriptures of the Indian philosophy, the Vedas, were the intricate details, over 1,000 hymns that describe the highly advanced and sophisticated human civilizations were there. They actually date back thousands and hundreds of thousands of years ago, starting with the Satya, the Golden Age. Their people, humans, first of all, we have been a lot more evolved in height, in all of our abilities, where clairvoyance, ability to levitate, and all of the things that we now portray in those, what do you call them, Marvel movies, they were part of the human experience. We were so deeply integrated and one with the abilities and the communion. That said, the communion with nature were sacred, that infusion of our energy and attention was indeed part of us. But I've digressed again a little bit. Let's bring it back to closer to our times, these people of tribal cultures that have lived in a closer connection with their environment, following the cycles of the moon, connecting to the rivers and the trees, and craft of their production of food, of clothing, of items around the house. So what has happened to us as humans that in our seemingly evolution, and I do believe, I'm actually a big proponent of modern civilization. I do believe we do have a lot of knowledge, ability, and capacity to create conscious change right now. However, on the bigger scale, or some part of the scale, we're degrading in certain areas. And one of them is the loss of sacredness in our daily lives. The perfect example in that is what is happening to a place like Stonehenge, where it's not just a sacred site. Let's just remove the spiritual significance to the pagan tradition and history. It is also a World Heritage Site for history. And why is that being so casually ignored by the planning committee developing this new road? Again, the Hitchhiker's Galaxy comes to mind. And this is where I believe it goes again deeper. This is where I'm going to point the finger to the consumerism. And this consumerism and making our lives easier, where that loss of our connection to nature has happened. The Amazon.com Prime same-day delivery of goods, of these disposable water bottles, the one-season fashion fads, the one-time use cutlery, and the speed of the developing and outdating of our technology. Again, everything. It's not this, what do I call it, TikTok whittle waddle, that everything is being sped up. We're not given even a millisecond to breathe and think. Is what I'm holding or consuming, both in the physical form as an object or as information, is there an opportunity for me to invest any amount of energy or attention to it, or is it simply consumed and then discarded as quickly as it came in your awareness? And by saying that, did it even had proper time to land and be in your awareness before it has been discarded and moved on to a new thing? It is simply not even given an opportunity to become sacred, to find a moment of awe, because there is just no time or ability to hold our intentional charge or attention. It came and off it went. If our attention and intention what creates sacred, then this advanced, efficient ways of modern life are actually what eradicating the sacredness of the moment. Why would a child want to fix up a torn arm of their teddy bear if the parent can go and buy them 20 of these same teddy bears from Amazon.com or Walmart within the same hour? And by losing that connection with sacred, we actually, I believe, are creating this catch-22 loophole where we then rob ourselves of the rich emotional experience of our own human identity. And this is the only way I can explain why the destruction of this historical site like Stonehenge, which I'm using as an example, can even be comprehended as a reality. Because if there is no emotional connection, if there is none of this fluttering in the heart of the moment of like, if a person doesn't have a moment of awe to relate it to, everything in their perception of reality is sad, dull, and lifeless. So for them, the utility of the experience of going from A to B in a faster way is more important than walking through the field and gazing upon an incredible sight and wondering in wonder of thousands of years of history of people gathering there, playing music, creating experiences, watching the sunrise or the moonrise over the stones. They're not able to comprehend the magic of that moment, or not even able to allow that into their heart. And that happens with this catch-22 loss of our connection to sacred. And our sacred is lost by this whittle-waddle of the sped-up modern consumerism. And this is why I believe that this rekindling and maintaining of that warm fire of connection to sacred and to our emotional experience is so important to us as humans. With this development of social media and the digital age being so intrinsically woven into our modern life, comparing to the previous tribal cultures for whom the ways of the elements, the moon, the river, the wind, was part of their physical body expression. For us right now, it's the radio waves and the flickering of the blue light. And that now speedily development of AI, whom, I love AI and all of the cool things that it's giving to us, but it does create an overload of the quote unquote perceived reality that our psyches and our senses are just getting fried over. Like I started sharing in this episode, my just 1 week that I have spent a few hours on TikTok and other apps, where I've just noticed such a mess in my nervous system, anxiety, and thoughts. And that disconnection of reality. What is sense of awe? What is sense of sacredness? And where it's just grasping for that instant gratification of a whole that will never, ever be filled by these whittle waddle of social media. And that's why I believe the need of rekindling sacred is so crucial for our modern society. Brief 3 but juicy updates plus a personal note. On May 11th, Saturday, you are cordially invited to join the celebration of 11th anniversary of MAHALO Skincare. We have prepared beautiful gifts with purchases and special curated ritual sets to bring your self-care moments to a whole new level of pleasure and healthy skin glow. Also on May 11th, I'm launching my brand new book, Ground and Be Free, a practical guide to release emotional pain and gain control. As a self-published author, I am heartfully grateful for your support on the launch day, with all proceeds being donated to charity in support of the earth. And third, join me to an incredible retreat journey into the heart at the sacred land of Glastonbury, UK, the heart chakra of the earth, on August 3rd till 9th, held during the most potent manifestation portal of Lionsgate, an immersion into skin, spirit, and sacred, with a highlight private ritual ceremony inside Stonehenge Circle. For our May anniversary month, we're offering a special $1,000 booking special, and I can't wait to be in the communion of beauty and spirit with you. On a personal note, May 11th is also my birthday weekend. I am beyond honored to be celebrating with you as we continue together from skin to spirit in a sacred journey. Join me to bring more beauty and goodness into the world. This reminds me of a story I shared with you in the first episode when I was a child sitting in the backyard of my grandmother's home and catching cherry blossom petals on my palm and experiencing such moment of awe. And truly, for me, that moment, that memory is sacred. It brings me into that awe and wonder of experiencing nature and grandeur of the universe through the childlike eyes that today, as an adult, helps me climb out of moments of sadness, depression, loss of belief and hope in humanity, or whatever happens, the darkness around me. Tuning into that memory ignites a spark of connection to sacred and spirit and goodness of all. And I truly believe that there's no amount of AI, no matter how amazing it is, or the social media that can replicate that experience. I can watch whittle waddle of TikTok for weeks. It will not give me the experience I've had there for a minute. That gave me that nature-infused vibration of connection and understanding and tuning in to the unity of something that is so much bigger than me and connecting me to the sense of purpose and belonging. That's it. It gave me a sense of belonging, that me as a human, I belong on earth, I belong in this universe, and I belong in a way of such love and acceptance that decades later, that memory charges my spirit with the potency of the infused energetic intention of sacred. So, how can we return to creating more sacred in our daily lives? For me, personally, and what I am bringing of service to you here is I'm offering it in few ways. One is the creation and the structure of my business, MAHALO Skincare, where our products are not fast fashion or fast skincare manufacturing. We are an artisanal brand. The creation of each step, going all the way from the making of our jars that are bamboo, wood, with laser engraving, hand assembly, to growing, extracting, blending, and producing of our actual formulas. Some of them, as I've shared before, take closer to 3 months to complete. That connection to artisanal craft. If you're not a skincare user, you can see the same experience in, say, in goods. That could be furniture, somehow Amish woodworking furniture comes to mind, where tables, beds, armoires are passed down through generations because the high craftsmanship of production of that item is of such high quality that as a craftsman that is creating that item, they're infusing it with their attention, devotion, and craft. And then you as a consumer, when you're receiving that item, you are in awe of the craftsmanship, of the love, of attention, of quality that has gone into it, and then using that item for years or sometimes generation, imbues it with your attention, intention, awe, love, devotion, and then layered possibly with memories and experiences, which then inadvertently creates the sacred experience. Which is why I am so adamantly passionate about artisanal makers that are indirectly bringing sacred into your lives. Which is why for me, as a brand owner, even though we're now in our 11th year, I personally am still highly involved in the production of our products. I blend, I create infusions, I soak oils, I help extract honey. Of course, I have help, but that help as well is done by people that are obsessed with natural ingredients, that are obsessed with various degree, whatever that brings them joy and satisfaction and pleasure, that is then returned into the product as that attention and intention. So then you as a consumer, when bringing it back to skincare, when you're holding the jar of MAHALO skincare, it is a moment of sacredness, that product did not come out of the manufacturing shelf machine that was filled, where every step of the creation of that item actually has been held by the warmth of hands. Every single step has been held by the warmth of hands. And that is the continuation string of sacredness. And I believe people that use my products, they're not the people that are signing off the destruction of Stonehenge or the sacred house. They are the people that are connected to the sacredness of their heart, to their goodness, to their spirit, to their divinity, to the elements and the nature that makes you a person of higher emotional and spiritual intelligence. And how incredible is that? I would also love to plug in here and invite you to another sacred experience that I am creating to deepen into the connection to our heart and to our spirit, is the journey into the heart at the sacred land of Stonehenge and Glastonbury, taking place on August 3rd. We have an incredible opportunity to go inside the Stonehenge circle on the new moon during the Lionsgate portal to really hone in the sacredness of the energies of the land, of the people that have been there worshiping and infusing that land with their awe, devotion, worship, and appreciation for the wisdom and the leylands, energetic leylands of the earth. For us to have the sacred energy help awaken the sacredness and the divinity of our own heart. So walking away from the journey into our heart, we connect even deeper into the sacredness of what it is to be an emotionally and spiritually awakened and expanded human. There is so much more that I would like to share with you on the topic of sacred, but I realize that we're now going over 40 minutes into my conversation, and I feel like I'm going to wrap this up with an invitation to commit to a grounded action and to integrate the question of what is sacred. What is sacred to you? And this could be done through an inquiry. You can journal or just go for a walk in nature and inquire, how do you feel about the idea of sacred? Is sacred something in the way of religious and spiritual to you, or is sacred that, as I said, more broader topic of values or sacred sites, lands, and experience? How do you feel you have the right to name what is sacred to you, even if it's not sacred to others? That is a very rich question to ponder, because I feel like identifying this for us is what will, again, we're one link in a chain that creates a strong world. So the more we're able to identify and claim sacredness for ourselves, the more sacredness will be in the world. And now, to honor our time together once again, thank you for being a part of this discussion. And I do mean it as a discussion because I would love to invite you to communicate back to me what did you find interesting or maybe introspective, or if you have questions or opinions, advice about this topic or other things I talk about on this podcast, please feel free to reach out to me on our website or Instagram. And to conclude, let us enjoy a deep breath together. The grounding cord that we have connected at the beginning of this episode will continue to connect you to the center of the earth, help you release all of the stuck energy for another 48 hours. I am so honored and grateful for you being here. If you'd like to continue the sacred journey from skin to spirit with me, please hit subscribe. Connect with me, join me on Instagram, join me on mahalo.care, and I would love to once again invite you to join me to an incredible experience to Glastonbury during the Lionsgate portal on August 3rd till 9th. And to deepen more into experience of sacred, a poem by Khalil Gibran from the Prophet. Then the priestess said, "Speak to us of prayer." And he answered, saying, "You pray in your distress and in your need. Would that you might also pray in fullness of your joy and in your days of abundance. For what is prayer but the expansion of yourself into the living ether? And if it is for your comfort to pour your darkness into space, it is also for your delight to pour forth the dawning of your heart. And if you cannot but weep when your soul summons you to prayer, she should spur you again and again through weeping, until you should come laughing. When you pray, you rise to meet in the air those who are praying at that very hour, and whom, save in prayer, you might not meet. Therefore, let your visit to that temple invisible be for naught but ecstasy and sweet communion. For if you should enter the temple for no other purpose than asking, you shall not receive. And if you should enter into it to humble yourself, you should not be lifted. Or even if you should enter into it to beg for the good of others, you shall not be heard. It is enough that you enter the temple invisible. I cannot teach you how to pray in words. God listens not to your words save when He Himself utters them through your lips. And I cannot teach you the prayer of the seas and the forests and the mountains, but you who are born of the mountains and the forests and the seas can find their prayer in your heart. And if you but listen in the stillness of the night, you should hear them saying in silence, "Our God, who art our winged self, it is thy will in us that willeth. It is thy desire in us that desireth. It is thy urge in us that would turn our nights, which are thine, into days, which are thine also. We cannot ask thee for aught, for thou knowest our needs before they are born in us. Thou art our need, and in giving us more of thyself, thou givest us all."